Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third chapter in our Hearts of Wulin quarterly game that we've been playing on the Gauntlet. This is it. We've got 3 more sessions and then it's done. I feel quite sad about that. But we are rejoined by 3 of the original cast, which I'm very glad about. This is, as I say, run under the Gauntlet's policies for gaming. So we are using the X card. We are using the open door policy if for any reason anyone needs to leave the game, and we have set up lines and veils. I'm going to do establishing questions in a moment, but I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. I'm going to do that in the order you appear on my screen. So I'm going to ask Green Owl, played by Ludo, to say hello to start with.
Hello there, I'm Ludo. I go by any pronouns, and I'll be playing Green Owl. So, Green Owl was to be the daughter of one of the minions of the fourth master, known as the Dragon Emperor, and she served alongside the first master on the rebellion. On the After that failed, she disappeared into the woods, becoming the leader of a bandit group, the Veiled Forest Emissaries. Recently, they moved to a new province, having rescued the blades of the first master, which had been broken. And as we met Green Alfred the last time, she faced the specters of her past and was able to reforge the blades. We're going to see where she comes back into the scene after this spiritual encounter.
Excellent, thank you. Let's go to Leandro playing Sable Serpent.
Hi, yeah. Sable Serpent uses the student playbook. She is part of the Blooming Lotus sect, which is a group of not very uptight assassins. No, they're clearly very not uptight. No, they're just a bunch of very nice assassins who believe in balancing the world out by weeding out, the terrible people in it. To that end, Sable Serpent was sent to basically the very, very start, way back, to deal with their teacher, Moonlit Raven, who has gone into business for her own mysterious means, and it's been a journey for Sable Serpent. She's had to reckon with her teacher, her old rival, her childhood friend, having to make tough choices, having to confront that, her teacher has done people she cared about wrong. It's worked out well. It could have gone worse. I think last session it ended far better than she expected. So we'll see how that picks up.
Excellent. And Tiger Eye, played by Sabine.
Hi, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I'm playing Tiger Eye, who uses he, him pronouns. Tiger Eye is the leader of the rebellion that started out pretty small in his home province, where his father had been the custodian, which is kind of a high-ranking official. His father then was killed in a duel and poisoned before he was killed, because otherwise he wouldn't have lost the duel. And he was going after the new custodian and overthrew him, and then the rebellion went on to another province, and he has been very focused on this rebellion thing and duty and honor and stuff like that. He didn't actually kill his former love interest, but he let her die for the rebellion. But now, and her ghost told him that he can't love because he is a terrible person who only values duty and honor. And he said, yeah, sure, I am. And then he had this, and at the end of the last session, he had this scene with his old friend Sable Serpent, who he thought had poisoned his father, but turns out she didn't. And then it turned out that there was, I think, more than a spark between the two of them. And that's where we ended things. And now he is, well, entangled again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think for those of us who've been shipping that all along, it was an awesome way to end that part of play. So we will need to pick up with everyone and do some now, as I've traditionally done in these games, to set up some establishing questions so we can paint what has changed in the world and then set up the new part of the world. This final phase will primarily be taking place in the Eternal City, the Jade stronghold of the fourth master, the Emperor. And I think, as we have 3 sessions, I think one thing to note, if we do get into duels, maybe don't expect so much in the way of mercy at this point. I think this is right at the heart of things. So your choices have outcomes, and they might be painful and brutal, and end you up in the 100,000-year dungeon. So, picking up from the end of last chapter, we had the dangling thread that you had managed to turn Moonsworn Heart. Moonsworn Heart, if not on your side, is certainly not as loyal to the Emperor as she last was, and did not prevent you from taking to the top of the mountain, which was, I say, cleaved by the second master and the Emperor in their battle. And she wasn't really loyal from a certain point of view. I think Boba Fett loyal, probably. But the scenario, I think, here is that at the top of the mountain, when you do get there, it is almost smooth, flat. Whatever shattered the stone here was incredible. And the Shui, which are meteor hammers, is the term given to them. They are effectively big, round metal hammers on a chain. They are in the center of this place, and still in the hands of the now skeleton of the second fallen master. And this can be anyone other than Green Owl, but do Tiger Eye or Sable Serpent think or try to retrieve the hammers?
Another hammer. Okay, yeah, sure. We're after the weapon. So
yeah,
go retrieve it.
Okay, so I'll get you a picture a second. I find you hammer. I managed to shut the thing down, but it's imagine 2 hammerheads on a large chain. That's what I was looking for. It is quite heavy as you put your hands on it, and as you do so, the skeletal hand of the master crumbles away. What did the passing of the second master, Turbulent Stone, what did they tell Tiger Eye that no one else heard?
Well, that's not. I'm sorry. I'm fighting my earbuds now. That's not what the master told Tiger Eye. I think it was something like. Yeah, it what they said was something like you should have the patience and strength of a stone, but take care that your heart does not turn into one.
Ooh, fitting. Cool. Okay. When you take that hammer up in your hand, the mists passed on the mountain top, and standing on the other side of the mountain from you is, with the forged jade blade of the first master, Green Owl. A ghost who has trained you to wield this weapon looks at you for the final time, Green Owl, and nods. What has Green Owl learnt from the ghost of the second master whilst they trained and reforged this blade?
So, with the Green Owl learned that every victory or defeat actually happens in the mind, and that Green Owl has been fighting this desperate struggle for a while. And ever since the first master fell, she has been defeated in her mind. She's always resisting, she's always surviving. And this deep knowledge of that means that she has mastered how to turn the fears and the worst dreads of your enemy against them. Because as the ghost instructs, the enemy knows its weakness better than anyone else, and it knows what it fears better than anyone else. All you need is to breathe into those embers and lit those fires of dread within them. If you are able to do so, your enemy is already defeated before the battle even started.
Okay. So, if both Tiger Eye and Green Owl so wish to, they may change their weapon into default weapon into the weapon that they have captured or reforged or been given by the ghosts of the now passing masters. While Sable Serpent still has Green Owl's hammer. So, Sable Serpent, you've travelled as a group of rebels now for some time, and at least another 6 months has passed between that scene and when we enter the Imperial City or the environs around it. The gates are shut around the Forbidden City, but 10,000 years of heritage and history as the home of all of these peoples and lands are enshrined here. Tell me one tale or fascinating thing about the Forbidden City.
I think people, there is a story of why it's called the Forbidden City, I guess, and why, those of lesser stations have not been allowed to set eyes upon it. I think there's an old legend of how this city was built by people way back when as a city for the gods, as a place where those divine being could come down and walk upon the earth. But as soon as the last brick or the last ornament was fitted, it turns out that anything touched by humans, anything even like created by humans, well, it's something that divine couldn't really like. It's something that divine couldn't really stand, and so as soon as the city was quote unquote finished, it became like tainted in the eyes of divine. And okay, maybe not tainted, maybe as soon as like this legend, one of this divine beings set foot in the city, it turns out the city was still not fit for the touch of divine. And as soon as they step foot, that's where kind of like they said wherever this divine being walked, that's where jade came from. That's where wherever they touch is where the jade is. And so at that moment when the divine being came down to earth, that's kind of like worship. That's kind of like celebrated. It's like the one day that the purpose of this city succeeded. And for the last 10,000 years, this denizens of the city have been trying to draw back that divine being through various means, like forbidding people of lesser birth or lesser stations to come into the city. And
Love it. I think that's awesome. But of course, now the divine has returned, and the emperor sits upon the throne. For she, they, I don't think we've established that yet, is a true living God. So everything's okay. What is the most standout feature of the city as you approach? The one thing that would cause everyone to gasp if you've never seen something quite so beautiful before? And I'm going to ask that of Tiger Eye.
As we come up to the city, at the gates are guarded by huge dragon statues. And it's like the gate itself is made up of these interwoven dragon bodies. And what is so amazing about these, there's one black dragon and one white dragon, but they seem to move. As you come closer, they seem to breathe. They seem to look at you with their eyes. The white dragon has eyes of agate, I don't know. It's a redstone anyway. And the black dragon has eyes of ruby or emerald. The black dragon has eyes of emerald, and they seem to look at you. And they are quite solid. You can touch them. They always feel slightly warmer than they should be.
So, are we totally sure that they aren't alive?
We are not.
Okay.
There are lots of legends about what these dragons are, where they came from, what will make them come alive again and defeat. I mean, there's the obvious one: if you attack the city, the dragons will come alive and defend it. Or if you enter the city with treason in your heart, the dragons will eat you. But probably not true, because people have entered the city with treason in their hearts and have thus far been uneaten.
Okay. And Green Owl, you can, within the city, is also, as well as the throne room and all of the other aspects, is the entrance to the 100,000-year dungeon, What does that look like as we see it for the first time? Often spoken of, not yet seen.
Yeah. So many people around the city think the 100,000 years dungeon is like a metaphor for the secret and not so secret police. But in truth, there's actually a complex. Before there was the Forbidden City, there used to be some older, much older city, whose the name and the builders are forgotten. So most of this city is completely underground and seems to be have been swallowed by the earth. So because of the way that the chi flows differently around that area, they figure that it is the perfect way to restrain cultivators of the martial arts. So basically, the workers are, the prisoners are made to expand these ruins and these tunnels, opening more and more compartments for where more and more enemies of the regime can be brought and forced to work as their techniques are studied by masked caretakers.
So are we saying then that, building upon what Leandro added, that this place was almost abandoned and has been now reclaimed and is being cleared out by the Emperor?
Yeah, and basically the name 100 Years Dungeon is actually, unlike what people assume, it's actually a reference to the supposed age of the ruins.
Sable Serpent, the courtiers nobility of the Jade Court who have made their home here are always masked. What else do they use to define rank and standing, so you can actually understand that you are talking to one of these purists that you mentioned earlier on?
I think. I think Jade itself is kind of like used quite not deliberately, but like it's used almost like tactically by the courtiers and nobility, as if like as markers. I think actually most of their masks are probably like fairly samey, so they use other means of like denoting how their rank and standing, like perhaps some different kinds of jewelry, or even like some of their clothes are like lined with jade and whatnot. Maybe some folks, like to be like iconoclastic, use like other kinds of precious material. I think what stands out is that like most of the courtiers have varying different like sorts of clothing, but the masks all are kind of uniform.
Okay. Wonderful. So, Green Owl, what has been uncovered as the ground has been moved away then are jade temples. They have been co-opted from their original holy purposes into more base uses. What are they being used for? How does this make you feel? And who is leading or organizing whatever is happening in the temples?
So one of the ministers of the emperor has seen the impressive defenses and the thick walls of the Jade temples, and decided that this is the best place to be the treasury. And it is filling to the brim with all the wealth that the emperor has taken from exploiting the people on the provinces, as well as many of the treasures of the four masters and even those that came before. So it's considered the safest place for any threat to the regime as well as its power to be contained. And this feels Grinal with disgust because she knows that the prime minister, Opulent Crane, is not a good person in any sense of the word. He has a sense of purity, a sense of privilege, and he's very close to the imperial family, and he has been neglected, even his own children and grandchildren, in favor of increasing his own wealth and influence. So not even for his own kind, he has no filial love. And not even for the gods, apparently, because he has no problems in appropriating the temple for such base material needs. And of course, there is the spoils that there's so many people starving and fighting each other for scraps in the provinces, while all this wealth is here completely useless.
And that was Opulent Crane, was that? Or
Yeah.
Chain Crane. Right. Lovely. Only the purists are allowed to get into the city. Outside the city, especially with the unquiet in the land, makeshift supporting town and a shanty town has grown up. The streets are narrow and people struggle. It is densely populated. Why have they fled here to the temple, considering all the good that you've done in the rebellion? And who among them have you befriended, Tiger Eye?
I was wondering if I can have the next question, actually.
Okay.
Because
So
I'm reading ahead.
I will. Let's come back to that one, and we'll always come back. I might give that one to. I'll keep one or two for Pearl for when she comes in. An unexpected reappearance tells you they have found a way into the city. Who is it? That's the next one. Is that the one you wanted? You're muted, I think, Sabine.
I'm sorry, I'm fighting my laptop. No, I wanted the one with the Emperor, actually, and the chains. If that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if that's the one you want, I have no problem. I would ask someone to volunteer for that.
Yeah, I would love to volunteer for it, unless one of the others thinks it's more appropriate for them.
Okay, then. All right, as we begin, one of you is bound in chains of jade and forced to kneel before the Emperor. Whom? That is Tiger Eye. And what has happened?
I could imagine that this was part of a plan to get into the city, actually. I think it went wrong at some point where these the soldiers in the Forbidden City are a bit more effective than we're used to, and the whole process was really expedited, I think is the word. And actually, it's a ploy to get into the Thousand Years dungeon, because the rumor is that the third master's weapon might be there. But it wasn't supposed to get me into the presence of the Emperor.
I just looked up the right moment to see the Andrew cupping his face in horror. So you've done well, Sabine. Okay. So I'm going to ask one more question, and that will be to Sable Serpent. You can choose which one you want to answer if you're looking at the sheet, Sable Serpent, or we still do the same session with a minute. Is it the shanty town has been befriended, a recent unexpected reappearance tells you your way into the city, or that you can hear the sound of the third master's sobs in the dungeon?
Ooh. Kind of want to do unexpected reappearance, just because, so just so we're like, oh, let's reintroduce an NPC. We've
Go
not
for it.
seen in a while. But I don't want any of my assassin buddies. I mean, we know our teachers probably around.
If you look at the NPCs tab, I have now filled in most of the predominant NPCs that have come up now through the last two. So we have your brother, Bowseran Huo, who is Tian's daughter. Ming's
Yeah,
gone.
my initial thought was Huo, actually, because we left her behind to look after her dad's region. So her being here, given that she is tied to like myself and to Green Owl, her being here kind of does throw up some questions. Something tells me that either something has happened back home, or the Emperor has called her to the Jade City. Maybe maybe the Emperor knows maybe knows more about Quo's ties to the rebellion, about what happened. Either way, it's concerning that she's here.
Excellent. I think we have enough to begin. When Pearl joins us, I'll give her some establishment questions as well to bring her in. But I think that means we can, and I think we have most of us in place. But Leandro or anyone else, do you have start of session moves? Pearl. Is it wrong to wish that you fail and I get to do another scene on you?
Look, I think wishing is a moot point. It's gonna happen anyway, so I'm just gonna roll. Well, there you go. That's a 3. God damn it.
I'll make a note and come at you Kato style at some point later on. Let us describe the first scene. I think the most dramatic scene to open at is in the Jade throne room. Everything here is made out of jade. The faceless forms in the most opulent silk robes and jade and jewelry of the purest servants of heaven who serve the Emperor and reside in this place are lined up as Tiger Eye is brought forward. The fires burn here with an incense Tiger Eye. What does it smell and feel like in this space?
Sorry. Well, it feels too much. Like, yes, this should be a place of awe and splendor and reminding you of all the things that our ancestors and that our people have accomplished, but it's just a tad too much gold, there are too much curse, too much jade even. It's like something is really shoving it down your throat that it's gaudy. That's at least that is what Tiger Eye thinks, because there are people starving out there, right? And then you have this, and there are I think there are trays with fruits just sitting there, and they are being replaced. They're not for eating, they're just for decoration. They're being replaced if they start to bruise and then thrown away. And that is just, Tiger Eye is just like no, this is not right. I mean, he comes from wealth, but not like that.
The Dragon Guard that have brought you forward, unlike the Dragon Guard you've seen before, these actually have faces with draconic features, either black or white. They're not masked. Their skin is sharp. They have pointed fingers. The Emperor is sat on each side by large temple dogs. What does the Emperor look like when you lay your eyes upon them for the first time, Tiger Eye?
I think they look. I think they're wearing a mask, so you cannot identify their features, and you can not see a lot of the body of the Emperor, but the way they move, it seems that they're old, they're aged, but they're still clinging to the throne, like their hands are clinging to the sides of the throne, and they're leaning forward a bit, and it looks like a vulture or something.
Excellent. Green Owl, what weapon does the Emperor have across their lap?
The Emperor has was infamous for the use of a 3-part staff, but on their lap, what they have is actually they have 2 spears, short spears, linked to each other through chains of jade and obsidian.
How does Tiger Eye feel then to see this weapon that is bound by jade and obsidian? If you were to look upon it, you would it doesn't like it was forged this way. It looks like it is part of the weapon that the 4th Master was famed to carry, and the spear tip that the 3rd Master was famed to carry, as if they have wound both weapons together.
I think it's a part of it is like, okay, there is where it is. That is bad because we need this weapon for some reason. We need all the weapons to face down the Emperor, but he has this. It's good to know that it's here. It's not so good that it's here. And his mind is just still going over possibilities, plans, stuff like that. Mostly just to deal with the fact that he is now in a pretty bad situation for himself.
Okay. And Sable Serpent, when the Emperor speaks, what is disturbing about the sound, the noise they or this place makes?
It's hard to like. The effect is a bit disconcerting because when the Emperor speaks, they speak in like a whisper, as if they're confident their voice will carry out through the hall, and it does. The voice does like ring out, but it does feel like people have to strain to hear what they're saying because everything the Emperor says is of divine importance. So everyone's kind of like forced to have to pay attention. But there's the disconcerting effect of the Emperor. It sounds like they don't speak above a whisper, but everyone still kind of hears it. But everyone's still really compelled to like make sure they don't miss anything the Emperor says.
Awesome. So the Emperor looks from the heightened throne down on Tiger Eye, and in that whispering voice hisses, "Rebel, you are bound finally. You should not have come here. For you, your struggle is over. You will receive your punishment in the 100,000-year dungeon, and I will change you until you bow before me.
I will look up defiantly. I will say your time has come, Emperor. People are restless, and they will rise. And if you chain me into for 100,000 years in dungeon, justice will still be served. If not by me, then by another.
They stand and start making their way down the steps towards you. It says, your eyes burn with fire. You're so strong. I am delighted that you have survived so long, that it is I who will be your end, Tiger Eye. I who will end your friends. And looks at the did Tiger Eye bring the second master's weapons here?
No, I don't think so. I think that he will have found a way to get them to Green Owl, because those are hammers, and that's more Green Owl's weapon than his own.
So he looks at you and looks at your father's swords and takes them out from the sheaths and looks at them again. You have killed so many of those loyal to me, and puts the blade to your throat. Every one of them here would like just a pinch of redemption, a pinch of chance to punish you, Tiger Eye. Shall I give him your father's blades, and each of them will cut you once?
That is your decision. I will not bow to you. I will not bow to them. Those who I killed were unjust. And they were hurting and killing people who did nothing. They attacked the innocent. That cannot stand. And no, you can go and cut me into 1,000 pieces, and it still will not stand in the end. And I lean forward into the blade just a little bit so it cuts me, and a single thread of blood runs down my throat.
The corruption of the living world has kept the gods from this place. They do not starve or hunger. I chastise them for their lack of faith. And now I have taken the throne. I'm the god of the lands and the four ways. I will make them all happy to worship and to pray. Drops the swords to the ground. The corner of your eye, though they are masked, the dark black hair of Moonsword Heart is definite.
Oh,
Take this failure away. Begin purifying it. Let's cut away from that scene to Sable Serpent. Sable Serpent, where outside in the shanty town are you meeting Huo?
Damn, RPGs have poisoned my ideas of meeting in towns. I don't want to say just the pub. Probably no. It's probably like a makeshift sort of warehouse. Where like. No, not that I say pub. I kind of want it to be kind of a. No, I think it's like an inn. It's like a really dodgy inn. A tea house, I guess. That makes sense. Yeah, it's I would say it's a tea house, but like, it's not the dodgiest sort of tea house. It's like something that was kind of built as a focal point for folks in the shanty town to like gather around. It is like stacked higgledy-piggledy next to the dodgy fish market. So like it's not the nicest smelling tea house. They try. They've got some incense, but it's a losing battle when you're up against a fish market in terms of smells. So I guess not many people go to the tea house. So it's a nice place to meet.
Okay. So the what's I say that? So she arrives in a black silk cloak, heavily is up and hooded, and she spots you and sits and pulls it down. She is wearing the crest or marks of your family, Sable Serpent, which would suggest that she has married your brother, Bao. She smiles sadly and says, "It is good to see you."
It's good to see you too, Huo. Though I'm sorry I had to have. I think her Sable Serpent's eyes kind of like dart over like the crest and says, "I'm sorry. It seems to have missed quite a bit since last we saw each other."
She smiles and says, "Unfortunately so." She says, "I have dark news for you, Sable Serpent. Bao fell in battle when the Emperor knew the province was lost. He sent his forces. We turned them back. So instead, he sent assassins."
I think Sable Serpent kind of like. I think she closes her eyes for a moment as if just to feel the weight of that, and then kind of reaches forward to like squeeze Huo's hand, and I think she opens her eyes and says, "I'm sorry to hear that. Wow." I think whatever Sable Serpent wants to say, she doesn't exactly know what to say, so it just says like, "Yeah."
She shakes her head and says, no one could have stood against this. Curse Moonlit Raven. Curse her."
I think Sable Serpent's hand kind of like squeezes Huo's out of reflex, and she says, "She has been a plague on our lives for far too long."
The Emperor has commanded that all of his line are wiped off the lands. Sable Serpent. She looks for you now. She looks for me. I've worn this mark, and it's got a ring, I think, and she passes it to you. It's your brother's ring. She says, "I have managed to convince him that I was loyal to Tian and kept in as hostage. But this means I have loyal followers inside the city, and I can help you, and Tiger Eye into the city. You two with Green Owl, the three of you together, you will be able finally to end him." Looks around and says, "Where is Tiger Eye?"
Sable Serpent. She sighs and she looks around to see if anyone's around, anyone's about, and she kind of leans forward and says, "I'm afraid Tiger Eye had plans of his own. In fact, he's commenced with his plans, and well, I tried to tell him, but and I think there's a moment where like Sable Serpent's kind of like sighs again, but it's a wistful kind of sigh, and says, He has infiltrated the 1,000-year dungeon. He seeks something of power within those walls. For now, his path is his own, but I trust that he'll find his way. But your help
Arrogant
would be
fool.
welcome.
Arrogant fool will get himself and all of us killed. One does not infiltrate the 100,000-year dungeon. One perishes in there.
I told him as such, and yet he professes that there's a first for everything. There's always one who will be the first to not perish, and it would be him. But so, of course, I wouldn't leave him to his fate. I plan to go after him as soon as possible. Your help, and I think she used the word, your help will be most welcome at the moment to Green Owl. I think there are I think your help will be most welcome to her at this time. My Moonlit Raven, she is of my business. She seeks me. Perhaps it's time I let her find me. And the sooner we end this business, the sooner we can the sooner we can breathe, I suppose.
She nods, pats your hand, and says, "There is better news.
Oh,
You have a nephew." Let's cut away to Jade Master Green Owl. Where do we see Jade Master Green Owl for the first time in this scene?
So we get to the bustling bureaucrats of the Dragon Empire and going around with the masks, and we see one of them going in one of the side audience chambers, as we see down there playing out the scene with Tiger Eye, and then we see the slight twist of the mask to the side, and we see that it's Green Owl. And she puts back the mask, and she stands as she sees the confrontation between Tiger Eye and the Emperor.
What does Green Owl do? And is Green Owl carrying any of the weapons of the Masters?
No, because she gave it to Wei. So that Wei was going to infiltrate through the kitchens of the vast kitchens that feed these extensive bureaucracy, and he was supposed to be carrying the weapons there and meeting up with her.
You trusted Wei to be R2-D2. Oh dear.
I mean, entanglements.
So, are you doing anything? Are you just? Did you say you're putting your hood back? What you see, Tiger Eye being dragged away? What does Green Owl do or feel?
Yeah, I guess the Tiger Eye, Green Owl, basically, she knew about Tiger Eye's plan, but she was not able to communicate with him because she knew that this will end up poorly, especially if she will not be involved. So she started preparing a backup plan to rescue Tiger Eye after things turn south, as they always seem to turn with the rebellion. So basically, they went to prepare a way to break out Tiger Eye.
Mm-hmm. So you're letting Tiger Eye be dragged away. Do you feel that's an inner conflict, or would you like to study at this point?
Well, not an inner conflict considering my entanglements, but it's definitely a study. So probably Thief of Thieves study. And let's go, because this is very common planet, let's go with Hurt. Wait, I can study with my element, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Let's hope you don't damage it.
Yeah. That would be very bad. So let's go. Oh, so many dice. 7 plus 2, 9. So Thief of Thieves, I guess. Yeah, I must pay a cost if I'm leading others, which is
just before. Would you like to burn your bond with Tiger Eye
Oh,
to put yourself up to a 10?
yeah. Let's not immediately go poorly. Let's burn the bond with Tiger Eye for me to be able to break him without already getting to pay a price.
It seems about right that Green Owl is ready to get Tiger Eye out of more heroic nonsense. So yeah, in that case you're a 10. So it's you get 2 hold and spend 1 for 1. You can send them now, or yeah.
Let's see.
I would. Well, if you use learn a person scale, I will tell you how many levels they are above you rather than they are above you. I think that's probably no doubt.
So let's start with the first question. I have to change between.
So you can ask a question about the situation of place, escape routes, little details, threats, dangers.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the move to see how it modifies that.
Oh right, your special move, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the special move already includes the way to get in or out. So I'm gonna ask. What is the hidden detail about the construction of the palace that is not obvious to most people working around it? That it's a secret that's probably kept only to the emperor and maybe a few people that he trusts.
As Green Eye studies the scene, her eyes catch one of the oil bowls burning with its green oil, and it blows in just slightly wrong direction, as if there is a breeze catching it. One of the free jade friezes on the wall close to the throne, there's a slight gust of air coming from it, which would suggest it is a concealed passage in some way.
So Green Owl takes a mental note of that as possibly a way to get closer to the Emperor. And the next obvious question is, how many tires we need to scale up so that we can beat the Emperor?
6.
Whoa.
No, your conditions will have cleared by the passage of time. The Emperor is the most fearsome person. There may be shortcuts to that, and maybe the weapons will help, but 6 levels above you. They are terrifying. As you sort of study their form, the chi that they hold is bound and chained in knots around them. Whatever they have done to reach this power is not normal. And a lot of it, you think, is woven into that jointly hooked together weapon. as we close that first scene for Green Owl, I think we'll take a short coffee break there. When we come back, and now we set the scenes, establishing questions, I'll just do 2 quick establishing questions with Pearl when we start. And then we got so excited, I forgot to recheck people's entanglements. I think most of you have been doing those quietly anyway, but it would be good for us all to know what those are. And then we will carry on from our currently desperate situation. We're okay with that? So it's just gone 10 past. Let's come back for just about 25 past the hour, and then we will go from there. Hi, Pearl. Are you with us?
Indeed.
Hi there. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey,
It's been a day.
Oh,
I
dear.
apologize for my lack of costume.
Don't worry.
It was just not that kind of night.
All good. Right. D. So, we're waiting for everyone else to come through. Then we're just going to double check on our entanglements.
Mhm.
I've got 2 questions for perfected Starfall. So we've established that they're at the heart of the Empire, which is the Forbidden City, and has been partially buried over the last 10,000 years, but is being dug up by the Emperor. Tiger Eye is in the has been captured by the Emperor's forces and is on the way to the 100,000-year dungeon. Yay! Where he belongs to be. And a shanty town has grown up around the Jade City. Its streets are narrow. The people here are struggling. Who among them have you befriended?
The children.
Children?
Yeah.
Are they organized like a little gang? Are you just someone who gives and feeds them? What's the relationship?
I tell them stories and I make pretty lights appear for them to try to give them something nice in their days while they're besieged and whatnot.
Okay, so
I don't think they've unionized. I mean, you would know better than I would, obviously, but I was not imagining like a gang of children. Just, you know.
no, that's just fine. Is this however you want to play it? One or so. What Perfected Starfall can also hear is only you can hear a woman's sobs. You know it to be the Third Master, and they are deep in the 100,000-year dungeon. How does that make Pattern Starfall, so Perfected Starfall, feel?
Full of sorrow, clearly. I think the sound of anyone weeping would already be a sad thing, but the idea of one of the masters in the 1,000-year dungeon is deeply saddening.
Okay. Awesome. So you can lean into that. Her noise, her sound can be heard at the most uncomfortable of times. What we were also then doing, because we went into play knowing that you would be joining us, is I want to just review everybody's entanglements. And double check where we are. So Green Owl, let's go through your entanglements. Are you going to change any of yours? Second one doesn't feel relevant at the moment.
Not really. I promised my friend Tiger that I will make it away. Yes.
I don't think giving him the Master's weapons is really helping him.
Giving responsibilities means that we trust and take him seriously. And I rejected Hao Biao, the merchant prince, but Moonsworn Heart, who I desire, loves them.
So, Hao Biao, who was one of the merchant princes in the previous kingdom, is he still one someone you want to repeat as an NPC, or would you like to change that entanglement?
I think maybe instead of Hao Biao, someone else that I rejected, but I don't know who I will know in the Forbidden City that would fit this role.
Well, there are a number of say refugees and people in the city, so we could reintroduce Moonsworn Heart.
Or I
you-
have an idea.
Yeah.
Because apparently I knew a lot about the Minister of Finance.
Mhm.
I would say that once, long days before I was Green Owl, when I was just the daughter of one of the servants of the fourth master, I rejected Opulent Crane. That's why I know a lot about him.
You were what to Opulent Crane? Sorry. What relationship?
I rejected Opulent Crane.
Oh, you rejected Opulent Crane.
I'm not muted. Hold on.
But Moonsworn Heart, who has no love for the Emperor, actually has a weak spot for this awful person for some reason.
They have a lot of money.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
They literally have all the money.
Yeah. Sable Serpent, then. Let's review your entanglements. You must prove to Green Owl that it surpassed what my teacher, Moonlit Raven, has taught me. It still feels relevant. Do you want to keep that?
Oh yeah, no, I've changed.
You've
my
updated them.
entanglement.
All right, cool.
Yeah, they're all new. Yeah, because the previous one is I love Tiger Eye, but my teacher, Moonlit Raven, has taken something from them. That's both my entanglements from last session were outdated. One of them involves someone who's dead. I don't know. She might turn up as a ghost. Oh no, we've left the ghost behind. Well, who knows? Emperor's weird, but no, these are two new entanglements. I must prove to Green now that I've surpassed what my teacher, Moonlit Raven, has taught me. That seems straightforward. And the other one is, so that kind of stems from what we learned last session, which is that Sable Serpent and Moonsworn Heart had a bit of a thing in the past, and we last time they interacted, she kind of convinced her to maybe, planted a seed that might turn her to decide good. Who knows? But it's complicated because we used to have a thing. So this entanglement is I cannot let my old relationship with Moonsworn Heart get in the way of my feelings for Tiger Eye, because I think what we've learned is that Sable Serpent is easily susceptible to influence from anyone who has a moral code. Because she thinks she doesn't have one. Or
Do you know, I think I would be bitterly disappointed if any one of Sable Serpent's relationships ever were not complicated. Tiger Eye, let's just review yours. You've a duty to the rebellion. Now these you've updated and you're happy with where you are. Do you want to run us through them?
I think I'm happy with I have a duty to the rebellion, but I have such strong feelings for Sable Serpent because, just like Leandro said, she doesn't have much of a moral code, and I don't care. Maybe moral code is not all there is to life. Who knows? I might be open to the suggestion of just going across the ocean to where other people are with her. Rebellion. I've done enough, haven't I? Damn. Oh, but I should. Oh, duty, honor. Oh my God. Well, that's an entanglement for sure. And I also wrote the entanglement. I think Perfect Starfall would make a great master, but I do not know what Green Owl thinks about it, because last time Perfect Starfall was a part of Green Owl's group, and I think she might still be. And I don't know if there is even a conflict between that, or if that's just in Tiger Eye's mind. That's totally possible. That just for now, he will be careful about that relationship and not to damage that relationship between these two. But he thinks Perfect Starfall should be a master because she's patient and she's wise, and that's exactly what we need.
Excellent. Perfected Starfall. Now, Tiger Eye and Sable Serpent are all smoochy. Is Perfect Starfall still in love with Tiger Eye? And if so,
Yeah, I think I was gonna change that one
Mhm.
last session I was in, just because I was like
Yeah.
trying to facilitate them getting together. It seemed a bit
Hmm.
silly. I don't know what to replace it with, like whether I should just replace that with another person and their duty, or whether I should just pick a different entanglement entirely.
You can do either, whichever you want to work through. Has your relationship to Tiger Eye matured? Has it changed as you've discovered maybe a more platonic ideal of friendship around them?
Honestly, I mean, I've only played the one session so far, but we didn't really interact that much. I
Then
interacted mostly with Sable Serpent.
Then I would suggest you change it to
it's
something else.
So the question, I think everybody already has romantic entanglements. I mean, obviously, Sable Serpent and Tiger I do, and then Green Owl is my mentor or master or the thing, So it doesn't seem appropriate, probably, for me to have a romantic thing aimed at my.
I wouldn't worry about appropriate in Hearts of Wulin. So if you do another entanglement there, Moonsworn Heart is someone if you want another.
I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be PCs.
Not necessarily at all. It can be, can't be. Depends on what you agree as players.
I'm not opposed to having feelings for my mentor. That seems like a thing that happens in real life. But Ludo, I would want your input on that before. It's okay if you're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, I know I'm fine. I'm just trying to figure out, which is the problem with Hearts of Wulin, how many shapes the triangles of relationships have. But yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. So yeah, I'll find a romantic entanglement that makes sense for a mentor, and obviously I wouldn't have to like disguise myself or something.
Did we resolve the one that Sable Serpent speaks ill of you?
What do you think, Leandro?
Yeah, I think we resolved that fairly well. I mean, we had a very straight up conversation about like, hey, why are you speaking ill of me? Oh, I don't think you're good enough. Oh, you're being an asshole. Well, I think we resolved that. I think fairly well with that conversation. I don't think Sable Serpent in this time would speak ill of Perfected Starfall.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were fully swayed or not on that, so we could change both of them. So, how about what I'm trying to figure out is what thing would apply to Green Owl, basically, in the romantic ones. Like they're not wed to anyone, and obviously it can't be like between them and my teacher since they are my teacher.
That can be the conflict.
That you and my teacher, who are the same person, are in conflict with each other, because that would be an interesting sort of split personality conflict. But no, I don't know.
I mean, not literally, but it's like they might, maybe they would otherwise reciprocate, but you get the feeling that this dynamic is getting on the way.
You have someone you're in love with already, right?
Well, yes. I mean, this is Hearts of Wulin. Everyone has.
Just because there's one that specifically is about the team. My teacher, blank, and I share an unspoken love because of the shame it would bring to blank. So if you didn't already have an object, we could have an unspoken love.
Yeah.
But you do, yes?
Yeah, it's Moonsworn Heart.
Right. Okay. How about a prophecy has kept blank and I apart, and blank is determined to keep it that way. And maybe you don't know the prophecy, but I do. And an NPC is the person who has made sure that it has stayed that way. Does that sound good? Because that sounds interesting and mysterious.
That could work. That Greenwald was never aware of this. And maybe Greenwald has been unaware of those feelings because Perfect Starfall has been kept from acting on them because of the prophecy.
Yes, or because of whoever's trying to stop the prophecy, is what I'm thinking. Let me put it in my sheet. So, prophecy is kept. Green Owl and I apart. And is your thing with Moonsworn Heart requited?
I don't think I ever had a single interaction with her.
Okay.
I think so. This basically
Oh, wait.
the fact that it's
Check.
desired. I mean, it's more on an abstract sense. I think at this point, Green Owl is more is seduced by the idea of Moonsworn Heart, of what she represents, and it's more that the people that she has been rejecting for a while, they are actually beloved by her. So it's a weird. This is a weird mechanic. So everyone is dealing on platonic ideas and ideals and romantic versions of the people instead of them. So this is a road for disappointment.
Okay. So I put Wei in as the one who's determined to keep the prophecy. We can determine exactly what the prophecy is in a second, but I want to get my second entanglement changed also. I'm going to pick another one that involves Green Owl just for the moment, because otherwise I'm going to sit here and read entanglements all day and we'll never get to do anything else. Which is my friend blank has been exiled from my school, but my teacher blank will not tell me why, and I'm going to create an NPC. This is going to be another just mysterious thing that can be drawn upon if needed, but I will probably not highlight it. It'll just be there for the use of our benevolent GM.
Someone that Green Owl has kicked out of the Veil for Honest Emissaries. That must have been bad. We'll figure out who that is later on. Good.
So I'm thinking the prophecy has to be something that Green Owl and a student that like some prophetical nonsense indicates would be me. We're supposed to end up together and like have some pivotal role in something. And Wei has manufactured ways to keep us from realizing that. We can figure out what those are and play. But I think does that make sense to everyone? Everyone down? Okay. And Green Owl presumably has not figured out that we're supposed to be together, but Perfected Starfall, maybe. I like to think that I know about the prophecy somehow, although I don't know how I would have learned of it. But that maybe opened my eyes, and now I have like seen the love that should be there with Green Owl. Does that all sound?
That sounds good to me.
Handy? Okay.
All right. So let's come back in from our dramatic setup and our re-entanglement setting. As Pearl has joined us. Pearl, would you like to introduce yourself and Perfected Starfall, first of all?
Sure. I just finishing my last entanglement filling in bit. I am Pearl. I use she and her pronouns. I am sorry that I was late this evening. It's been a day. I am playing Perfected Starfall, who is an unorthodox prodigy with the Veiled Forest Emissaries. I use the fighting style Shooting Stars hands, and generally am surprisingly even-keeled. Who saw that coming? But generally just for the good of everyone is what Perfected Starfall is. But there may be some secrets as well that she is thus far trying to keep under wraps. Okay,
and I believe I have all of you for session 1 and session 2, and then Pearl is away, and we Ping will return to us for the final tumultuous end to this quarterly chronicle. But anyway, let us pick back up. We have not seen Perfected Starfall yet, so where is Perfective Starfall, we first see her, presumably in the let's say she's in the shanty town with the kids that she has befriended, and maybe it would be nice to see Perfected Starfall and Green Owl together for the first time, actually.
What time of day did you say it was? Sorry.
We have not established time of day, so it is whatever time you'd like it to be.
I think evening would be nice, like just after sundown. And I'm sitting on the ground with the children, telling them stories. And whenever I'm out there, there are always fireflies that come out, even if they're not native to China. I have no idea. But if they're not fireflies, then they're things that look like fireflies, because that's kind of my jam. And I'm just telling them stories to try to keep their minds off of how difficult life is, and if Green Owl wants to wander out. Dusk. Right, that's when it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I would suggest in time flow of the game, this scene in time takes place before Tiger Eye's plan goes wrong, and that Green Owl is inside the castle, palace. Sorry, not classroom. So, yeah, go from there.
Inside the palace, which is inside the...
No, this is not inside the palace. We've already established where Green Owl is with Tiger Eye, but that's happened, I think, in the future. This is a flashback scene. You are in the shanty town, which is around the Forbidden City. It is a chance for Green Owl and Perfected Starfall to meet before Green Owl sneaks into the city and the palace.
Okay, good. I get the location names mixed up, but that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I'm just sort of casually talking to them, and if Green Owl wants to wander out, I think that would probably be the best way for us to encounter each other.
Let's have Wei in the scene as well. For Wei has now is apparently carrying the Jade Blade and the meteor hammers of two of the masters, and he's looking at them, presumably having a disagreement with Green Owl, going, "I don't want these."
Well, it's a good thing, because this is very dangerous, and we cannot have anyone to be tempted to use them, because it will be disastrous as they were well used. You are not to yell them, you're not to carry them, you are to smuggle them. Very different, right? I'm trusting that you are going to use all the skills that you learned among the Veiled Forest emissaries.
Perfected Starfall?
I assume that they are walking by as this conversation is happening?
Yes, they are.
So I'm going to sort of excuse myself from the children for a moment and tell them I will see them soon. Master Green Owl, Wei, is all well.
Yeah, just going after the details. All is well, right, Wei?
All is excellent, Jade Master. Mumble. Wanders off swearing under his breath.
I would never... I would not want to question your judgment, as you have been my teacher and mentor for so long. But I feel I must speak up about my reservations. I get a sense that Wei is not the most devoted to our shared goals as much as to Wei's own goals, and I feel apprehension.
So the Green Owl's eyebrows just fused together, and she goes like, "Why are you being like that, Starfall?" And But she actually says, well, Wayne has been entrusted to us by your good friend Tiger Eye. Sure, he might not be like one of us of the Village Forest emissaries, but he is as devoted to the cause as anyone can be. Way has proven countless times that he is entirely devoted to the rebellion.
I will choose to accept your wisdom. What do you make of the muttering and such as he departed? Is that of no concern?
Yeah, it's not no concern. I mean, that actually makes it easier for him to get into the role. I don't expect the workers that have to be invisible tending to the needs of the palace are very pleased with the meaning and the humanizing work that they have to perform. They'll just fit right in.
If that is what you say, then that is what I shall believe as well.
Well, let's be frank, Perfect Starfall. What alternative do we have? We can
I
go
don't-
around second guessing every single one of our allies, or we can interest something to them.
I don't second guess all of our allies, but I felt I should express my reservations in this particular instance, and you have allayed my fears, and I will not pursue it further if that is your wish.
Well, if you have further concerns, I will hear them. I'm happy that you brought this to me, my consideration. I'm only one of the leaders of the Veiled Forest emissaries. I expect everyone to know what their needs are and how to satisfy them.
And there you prove your wisdom yet again.
Wisdom. She chuckles. I've just been on the run for too long, I guess. There are habits that form, and routine habits, if they happen to be good enough, they are confused by wisdom.
Perhaps. May I simply suggest that we remain aware and keep our eyes open as we proceed?
Well, that's where you come in, Perfect Starfall. I will have no trouble infiltrating the palace. Uh, After all, I still remember the type of bureaucrats that goes in and out of it, the so-called purists. I'll have no problems impersonating one of them, but uh, things always go wrong. So I'm supposed to be there to back up Tiger Eye, but knowing how things turn out, I will get in trouble myself. So when that happens, it will be up to you, Perfect Starfall. And you, if something happens to me, Tiger Eye, or with A, I'm going to be counting on you to solve the situation. I know that you can handle it. You never caused any problem.
Thank you. That is very kind.
Well,
I will hover behind like a star watching over, and if need happens, I shall fall.
I would suggest that Green Owl, you've just comfort and supported Perfected Starfall.
True. So who rolls that? Who has comforted or who is comforting?
You have just given support, I think, to Perfected Starfall. So when you can assist to clear harm from a fellow PC.
Okay.
They can use to check an element or gain a bond. So
let's gain a bond then.
You do need to roll. So you're doing. I think this is something that you can choose to do to Perfected Starfall. Okay, I think you've just Green Owl has just supported her. So I would suggest if you would roll comfort and support, and then Perfected Starfall can choose what they want the outcome to be.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna use water. So 11.
Yeah, a 10 plus. You may. So that means that clear any conditions you have anyway. Perfected Starfall. This is chapter 3. That means you can gain a bond with Green Owl because you rolled 10 plus Green Owl. You may additionally clear an element yourself, ask them a question they must answer, or you can gain a bond with them.
I gain a bond or ask a question?
No, Perfected Starfall gains a bond with Green Owl. Green Owl, you can either clear an element on yourself, ask a question of Perfected Starfall which they must answer, or you can gain a bond with Perfected Starfall.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a bond.
Okay.
I actually I might want to roll an inner conflict.
Okay.
This conversation about way, like trying to keep my tongue, as it were, is difficult. So let's see. Inner conflict roll would probably be with fire. Was it what I'm feeling or what I'm trying to? I'm not quite clear on how to pick the right element in a situation like this, because the whole point is a conflict.
Emotional state effect. So this is it's.
So yeah, probably fire. Okay.
If that's your style element, you can't use it for inner conflict. That can be used for inner conflict.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Never mind. Okay.
Is that your style element? Oh, I'm looking
It
at the wrong
is.
sheet.
Yeah.
Control, I would say, then, and probably metal would make the most sense for what you just described.
Okay. So that's +1. And I had already rolled. So that's an 8 all told. So let's see. Must either flee the scene or mark an element. Oh. I think I will flee the scene. Because I do not trust myself not to speak further about way and risk overstepping the boundaries that I see in place. So I will sort of just say I should get back to the children, and sort of like bow and like hastily take my leave.
Okay. Excellent. So, way back in the establishing questions for the very first episode of this quarterly, it was Sabine who introduced the 100,000 Year Dungeon. So I think it's only fair that Tiger Eye describes their descent into the 100,000 Year Dungeon.
Okay, so we said it was mostly like a mining thing, right? Where people are digging into the rock, and so Tiger Eye is taken down, still manacled. I think they will exchange the manacles of jade for ones of iron, because these are valuable and you don't put them down there. And then they will be given some sort of old pickaxe, I guess, that is very rusty. And then they will be told, now you, prisoner, you go there and you hack at that rock. But you, special case, you go down. And that's what happens then. It's a pretty long trip through the earth on really twisty ways, and there are side ways, and then you have to go there, and you have to go there. And there is no logic to it, really. There are tiny cells hacked into the walls, and sometimes there's somebody in there in an uncomfortable position. And mostly you can see people sometimes lying on the ground, trying to sleep or rest. But as we pass them, they usually get kicked, so they return to work. And I think once they're down, wherever down there is, Tiger Eye's pretty much confused about how they got there, but he's also pretty much confident that he can find a way back, because, hey, you have only to go up, right? And then they tell him, okay, now you use that pickaxe against that rock. Have fun. Don't. If you fall asleep, we'll kick you. If you lose your pickaxe or if it breaks, we'll kick you. And then you get a spoon or something, and we'll kick you. And well, there are other prisoners about, and most of them, they look just like totally tired. Like they have spent down here a long time. And then the guards go and they take the light with them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're supposed to hit the wall in the dark.
So you're chained into a gang. There are 4 of you. There are 4 of you, all in all.
Yay.
Name the one closest to you, Tiger Eye.
I think the one closest to me is 3, and I'm 4. Because the chain gangs, they don't use names. They get kicked if they use names.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the guy next to me has been kicked often enough that he just goes by 3 now.
You are the new number 4. So
Yeah, I'm Tiger Eye.
do it. No, don't say that. You must call yourself number 4. The last
Wow.
number 4 refused to change their name. They whipped her till she fell. Who you were is gone now. You're 4, and if you dig well for the Emperor, he will feed you.
Well, I am Tiger Eye. I am the leader of the rebels of the Hidden Valley, and I will not change my name for the Emperor, and I think neither should you. We are people, even if we hit rocks right now. We're still people. Don't let them break you, friend.
I am unbroken. I break rocks for the Emperor. He hits again. Further down the line, you can hear there's a woman's voice and says, "Brave and bold words. You have the tone and style of a warrior. I can feel it through the chains, Tiger Eye."
Well, I am. I have faced many foes, mostly successfully, not always, though. And I hit the rock.
3 pipes up again. Don't listen to 1. 1 is you being here the longest. 1 must will get you into trouble. Ignore 1. Hit the rocks. Hit the rocks.
And I will stop hitting the rocks and say, well, first one in the chain, I'm honored to make your acquaintance. You seem quite on board.
She says, "Untrue, I am afraid. I am broken. But perhaps I am unended for a reason." And number 3 goes, "Guards, guards! They're using their real names. Guards, guards!"
What did
Light
she say her
comes
name?
back in.
I'm sorry. What did she say her name was?
She says, "I am a dancer of loss."
I'm honored to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. What person? I will not kick him, but I will. I mean, it's dark. I can't see anything. So if I now kind of push him into the wall a bit violently,
Yeah.
that
You-
could be a mistake.
You could
Well,
hearts
it
and
is
minds
not.
him if you would like to try.
Yeah, I probably should hearts and minds him. I will push him into the wall. I would say, hey, 3, we're all in this together. Don't let them get you down. This will end. I promise you. This will end. And I will hearts
Okay.
and minds him with. Let's do, well, water. Or maybe. Or no, let's take. I'll take earth. That's totally fitting, earth, because we're in the earth and hitting earth. Let's see how that goes. Ooh, I've got 10.
They bow to your words and do what you want.
Hmm. Cool.
And he three nods and goes, "Okay, okay, I will be quiet."
Thank you, friend. I will not ask your name for now, but I hope you will tell me one day.
Two chuckles and says, "To get him to shut up, you have Will of Steel entirely." And then you go back to your chaining. There's just the sparks from the weapons, the pickaxes hitting the jade stone as you dig down. As the sparks slightly illuminate, you note that one does not have a pick and is breaking the jade and the rock with bare fist.
Whoa, cool. I like her.
Let's cut across to Stable Serpent, who has a sister-in-law and a nephew. I wonder which will betray them first. Sable, where are you? And what was Sable Serpent's plan now within the city?
She is tracking down Wounded Raven. I think after what her you found sister-in-laws just revealed. I think Sable Serpent wouldn't want is done putting things off. She has to confront her teacher at some point.
So you're going to find her. You're going to need to study to change the game state. As we see this montage of Sable Serpent making their way through the shantytown. I presume trying to confront or call out Sable as a Moonlit Raven.
Mm-hmm. Let me just double check something. Okay, I think I'm absolutely using metal. I think I'm trying to be calculated about this. To control, just like, all right, time to do this. All right, that's a 9. I'm gonna burn my bond with Huo to take it up to a 10. Yeah, thankfully Ping isn't here to help this time.
So as it's a 10, you get to hold on the study. One of them will be, I presume, to change the fiction and determine where you find them. And what will the other one be?
So yeah. First I'll change fiction and say that I think.
Do you want to describe where you finally get the upper hand and confront Moonlit Raven for the first time rather than her confronting you?
Now I have to decide what backdrop is suitably cinematic enough for this. Let's say it's a street inside the Forbidden City. It's kind of like it was. I'm gonna say it's like one of the back streets. But even then, a back street of Forbidden City is quite nice. There's like high walls surrounding the street, and there's like tall houses. They're just dripping with opulence, and I think the street is. I think this is later at night for sure, and the street is absolutely bathed in moonlight because why not? And I think it should. I think it almost feels like the two of them know that they're about to meet. So it's almost it's shot like it's shot like the two of them are walking up the street like as if they're gonna have like a gunfight at the OK Corral, but it's when said no, it's the two of them walking each other, just like no tricks, no shadows. The street around them is under the gaze of the moon, and there's nothing to hide.
Okay. So you see her. She steps onto the jade alleyway, just the other side, and the streets are literally paved with jade. It is polished and sharp. She is dressed in black. She is ready and armed, and she stands out and looks and gives a crooked smile. Ha! How fortunate. You are one of the last names on my list, Sable Serpent. I thank you so much for giving me my life so I could carry out my duties. Now the balance has been dealt with. The Blooming Lotus sect is no more other than you. Your brother is dead. Those who betrayed me and my daughter Ming will pay. I saw Tiger through Tiger Eye's plan. It is me who betrayed him to the Emperor, and now you will die.
I think Sable Serpent just closes her eyes for a bit and says, if I had it my way, my dear teacher, you have been dead a long time ago. You live not through your cunning or your skill, but through the sufferance of someone else. You are a canker of this world, and I'm here to wipe you clean, wipe all your sins away.
And this is why I am stronger than you, for I do not surround myself with those who would call me friend or lover. I am a strength and unyielding. As you die, know the punishment that Tiger Eye now faces is because of you.
All right. So I have one more hold from that study, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, what's their? I was gonna ask about what their motivation is, but they were kind enough to give me a villain monologue. So what's their scale?
They are one level above you in scale at this present moment in time.
Cool. Okay, that seems reasonable. I didn't take the time to study her like Ping did, hence why Ping was able to humiliate her. Okay. I think I'll. Who? Yeah, no, I think this is probably gonna end poorly, but Sable Serpent sought her out. She was confident enough. Who? Yeah, I think no. If Moonlit Raven's gonna come after Sable Serpent's gonna respond as best she could.
You could, as you've revealed this, if you want to instead try and flee the scene, you can try to do that. Or you're going to fight her and see what happens.
We'll fight her, see what happens. I think it makes sense that, like, well, she's going to lose. I think it makes sense, or at least for this first. Yeah, this is not the last time, I guess, even, but yeah. I think ooh. Yeah, I'm just not sure. How long has it been since the last session? As in
about 6 months.
6 months. Will it be too much to declare at least trying to study a new technique in between those 6 months, or is it too late for that?
I think, unfortunately, it's too late for that. If you've gone off in a rage, I think, and got yourself into trouble.
Oh yeah. She could have done that instead of seeking her out. I think knowing about having family.
If you hadn't established the fiction to confront her, I would have said yes.
That makes absolute sense. All right, I'm just gonna roll and see if I can see if I get the chance to declare how I lose. So I'm gonna roll duo. Okay, so I do get a hit. I rolled 5 + 2, and so I get to declare how I lose at least. But then I also have to mark an element. So
Her weapons are two hairpins with she takes out of her hair, and they are glistening with some liquid as she pulls them out.
Yeah, I think how she wins is simply the case is that everything Sable Serpent knows, she learned from Moonlit Raven. So, and as much as Sable Serpent has grown in the past almost a year, I guess, she's still quite young and she still had much to learn. And she spent most of that year not really developing her own techniques and mostly moping over her complicated love life and moral code. So she didn't really like actually train up. So I think the fight is probably quite even. It's if we could watch this, it's a spectacle because it's one person with knives being fended off by someone with hairpins, and it actually looks really even. As and it's weirdly like, here's how to imagine it. It's not like the gigantic knockout brawl. In fact, it's actually really subtle. It's a lot of like pacing around each other in the street, and then delivering like a quick strike that gets parried away very quickly. Like it's almost silent. It's why nobody in the neighborhood has noticed this fight happening, because it's how assassins fight. But yeah, there is a moment where like I think I'm taking Sabine's suggestion from the chat, and like there is a moment where Sable Serpent draws back, and there's a moment where Sable Serpent thinks, all right, I could beat her, but then she kind of feels her vision blur for a moment, and I think she kind of realizes, yeah, what kind of, and she notices like, yeah, there is like the tiniest like nick against her cheek, and she reaches up to like feel it, like she already feel like there's the bit around the cheek is already like kind of blossoming. What was that we established in the last month? There was that.
It was like the mark on the of a corruption on the dragon warriors.
Yeah, hold on, let me double check that is, because it's in the establishing question, so just realize. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's in that sort of dragon rot. And yeah, I think Sable Serpent feels that, and kind of like her eyes blur for a moment, and she kind of like staggers backwards, or staggers a bit on her feet.
So I think at this point, in two short leaps, Moonlit Raven is on top of one of the buildings, and she looks down at you and says, that you are my student. I give you just enough to give you 3 nights left on this earth, Sable Serpent. Put your affairs in order. And she is gone. She has poisoned you. You have 3 nights before Sable Serpent perishes, and I am going to do harm to you at this point.
Gosh. So I check that. Do I check that wounded box?
You do.
Oh yeah. I asked for this. Well, I didn't, but you know,
You kind of did.
I kind of, yeah.
We cut to Green Owl then. Green Owl, where was your next? You were back to the after you see Tiger Eye is dragged away. What does Green Owl do next?
So then Green Owl tries to get into the Thousand Years dungeons, and she gets the feeling that it's a pitch dark place other than the guards, which makes it both easier and harder. So it's harder to see, but also you can see the guards coming, and if she is carrying a light, people will, before she gets close, people just assume that she is a guard. So she plans her infiltration of the actual dungeon.
Okay. So you're going to go into the darkness on your own, and what are you trying to achieve as you go through the darkness?
I try to make a sense of the place, but the thing is so damn big, and I'm kind of amazed / lost going about what it was uncovered, because no matter what the stories were, I was not expecting something like this. And because I'm not being pushed around by a guard like Tiger Eye, I'm taking my sweet time. And I'm probably just trying to see if I find anything, to be honest. Which is that a study for location? No, study is not very good for finding stuff on a location, right?
Well, you can use study to reveal a detail, figure out things about the place. So it would be study would be the most appropriate. If you fail in your study, you're going to be on a certain stretch. The risk that the guards will detect you.
Okay, let's go with that. Wait, where I put go for your party? There it is. So let's go with what? 5. So give me those guards.
What you sort of feel that you're almost coming back on yourself, and that's what confronts you. You've drawn out a rough map of the tunnels. They look like that. Mostly, some of them are still collapsed. But as you do that, the dragon guards, and these are the ones with the dragon faces. These are the white ones with the ruby eyes. You sort of turn back on yourself, and then you see them, and they see you. They draw their swords and take a martial stance and say, "None enter this place without the Emperor's command. None ever leave. You will die here." They start running or taking steps towards you. What does Green Owl do?
I think Green Owl tries to get to the closest prisoners and release them to even the odds a bit.
Okay, these are not the same prisoners. So there are some of the prisoners here. You leap in and cut their chains. Was that what you're trying to achieve? Okay. As you cut the chain, freeing them all, they immediately jump upon you, trying to take the weapon from your hands, going, "We will catch him for you, masters. We will catch him."
As this is going, he's like, "You used to be martial artists. Why don't grovel like rats? Take what is yours." And I try to inspire them to find the fire that they once had.
Hearts and minds, then, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna use fire for that. And I get an 11.
Ooh. So they bow to your words and do what you want.
Take the weapons from them, take their masks, take everything they have, because it has all been stolen from you. who have nothing to lose but their lives.
They engage. If you still want to deal with the troops, I'll give you a +1 forward on this roll as a result of your bringing the troops in.
Yeah, I'm gonna deal with the troops. Otherwise, I fear that they're gonna keep chasing me. They cannot get anything done. So, oh, that's a 5. No, that's a 6. So, if I burn the bond, that could up it to 7, right?
Which bond are you trying to? You need to justify burning of the bond as you're on your own here, but you can.
I was thinking maybe a bond with the Village Forest because I've been neglecting them, going on this plan on my own and making decisions in the favor of the Grand Rand Rebellion and doing all these risks for Tiger Eye, which for all intents and purposes is an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna burn that to get to 7. Okay, so it was deal with troops. So on a 7. Wait, what happens on a 7 on deal with troops?
So we hit on a hit you defeat them, but describe on a do so. You do so on a 10+. You gain XP from it. Yeah, so you win, but it's not an easy fight. So describe the fight.
We are fighting on these tunnels, and the air is just stale, and there is not enough oxygen. And Green Owl is trying to use her techniques, which a lot of them require wide swings and cramped positions and exhausting. They really take a toll on her. And one of the guards just shoves her against the wall with the spear, and the haft pressing against her chest. And after the fight is over, she managed to fend them off, but she is on a state in which she can hardly breathe. So she's having problems staying conscious, keeping the breath flowing, keeping the key up, and she fears that she cannot be on the dungeons for a long time. That she needs to hurry up, or otherwise she'll completely lose it.
Okay. As you floor the last of the dragon warriors, they also, that one is looking back at you. Its red eyes dimming, and it looks at you and says, "None have escaped," and breathes, "Mother, defend us." Elsewhere on the gates, the white dragon eyes open and it stretches, detaching itself from the gate, and crawls over the wall into the city. Let's cut outside to Perfected Starfall. So Sable Serpent has made it inside to the Jade City, but not the palace. Tiger Eye is in the dungeon. Green Owl is in the dungeon. Where is Perfected Starfall?
How much of all of this do I know as a character?
I think we assume that the plan was communicated, and I think we can probably understand that the plan has not gone according to plan. So it may be up to Perfected Starfall to save them all.
I would like to research something.
Yeah.
I think that's the right thing. Study.
Yeah. Study, yeah.
And hear me out here, because it's not going to sound like what it is, but I would like to study to see if there's more to the prophecy. Because if Green Owl is being held in a dungeon and there's some fate element involved, perhaps there's something in the prophecy that will reveal like what I'm supposed to do. Like,
Okay. So it sounds like that being the case, let's establish that you have made your way into the library in the Forbidden City. It is almost it is huge. It is a vast chamber, top to bottom in scrolls. The people here moving things around are in simple black robes. They bear the taint of let's just say the corrupting dragon pulse, but perhaps more disturbingly, their eyes have all been put out. And they go around silent and blindly here, moving things with an efficient martial form. You will be able to study and find the scrolls you want. If you fail on the study, you will alert the sightless keepers.
right. So for study, you don't. There's no. You can mark whatever element you want, right?
So mark whatever you think is the appropriate element to describe. Think about how you describe you want to move your way through here. Describe it. Choose your appropriate element. So if you're doing it through stealth or patience control, so if it was something like, say, controlled movement as they move past you, it would be metal. Patience or curiosity might be wood.
I was actually thinking earth, caution, focus, and presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that for me, that's a +2. That's handy. Okay. Come on. Roll for your party. One time. Give me what I'm looking for. It's a 9. I'm going to burn a bond to bring it to a 10. If I can.
Who are you burning a bond with?
I think I only have one left, which is Green Owl.
Will make sense to do so anyway. So, yeah.
So that makes it a 10.
Okay.
So I get basic information and then 2 hold. Okay.
So the basic information. So, okay, 10 plus, you get 2 hold. So that means you can use the hold to answer one of the questions in the bullet points in the study move. So your penitent staff will silently move across these people. They are like they're on rails and lines. They leap between the different scroll sort of where the scrolls are in their frames. Others are writing furiously, others still bringing documents in. There's probably about 40 or 50 people here, but you make your way through and find your way to the forbidden prophecies. The keepings of the hall, the masters are this is all in one location. It is at the center of the library, held in a wooden cage. So we find perfected staff holding on to this cage, pulling out and reading the scrolls. And you may ask now, one for one. So ask a question about a person, which I have to answer. Ask a question about situation or place. Reveal a detail, or you can either ask me, or with reveal a detail, you can declare things yourself.
Ask the first one and then see if I want to declare from there. Is there anything in the prophecy that indicates that the present situation, or that references the present situation and what should be done to bring the prophecy to pass as written?
The prophecy reveals that the 4 masters are bound by oath to love each other only as brother and sister, for if they were ever to form stronger bonds, then it would bring disorder to the world. And it names the 4 masters. It names Jade Master Ji-Hang. It names Turbulent Stone. It names Dancer of Loss, and it names Casting Blaze as the fourth master.
Well, that is information I don't know what to do with. All right. Let me ask something else. I have no idea where any of those people are or whether they're carrying on in proper fashion.
So, because you weren't past, so let me add some more context to that. Green Master Jiang was the first master. Was in the first segment. That is the sword that Green Owl went off to reforge. Turbulent Stone was the second master, who was a big part of the second chronicle, and that who has the meteor hammers and died, but also trained Green Owl. Dancer of Loss is in the dungeon. One may assume that the fourth master's and the Emperor's true name is Casting Blaze.
And is maybe in the dungeon.
Well, Casting Blaze is the Emperor.
Is the Emperor? Oh, good
Is
heavens!
The fourth master killed the other three. And took their power.
Good heavens! See, there are so many things going on. It's very hard to keep track. And all the pretty names, they're very pretty. All right, then. Situation or place.
Specifically, if I just sort of make sure you're clear what I'm saying there, is it forbade that the masters should ever fall in love with each other. If they were to, it would be the end of the masters.
Yes. Not sure how I can prevent that at the moment.
It's already done.
Oh, because the three of them got killed. And then...
Well, two of them. The other one's in the dungeon.
Well, right. And the other one's the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. This is... Okay. I'm processing it all. All right. The next question then. What secret routes in and out of the 1,000-year dungeon could be employed to, say, rescue someone? Or multiple someones.
There are narrow tunnels that allow the air to come in and out of the mine shafts. It would be difficult to get in and out through them, but you expect that they are not likely to be guarded.
Okay. All right. Well then. Seems like some tunnels need traversing. I'm going to go to the dungeon. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is look around and see if I can find not just one of these tunnels, but several, so that I have like sort of a mental layout if I get inside and need to go out a different way of where a different one might be. Make a mental map to whatever degree I can.
You have studied it, and you can see the symbol that I put up as well, because you've got the maps here, and the maps do mean that the tunnels of the 1,000-year dungeon is the symbol for heaven.
Right. The one in the chat. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is just ask you, as the GM, my weapons, right, are just unusual and improvised. Is it possible that I can improvise something that would help me get through the tunnels? And what I'm thinking is perhaps if there's a plant that the sap of which would be slick instead of sticky, or something like that, that I could like apply to my skin so that I could more easily make my way through the tunnels, and also bring or oil. Yeah, I guess that would work. I was thinking more improvisation-y, but
you could literally grab some oil from the library, which is used to say to keep the vellum supple.
Which is great for
you
your
can-
skin too. Then,
Yeah.
so I'm going to take that, and then if I can have like a flask, but the sort that is like an oilskin flask, so it's sort of flatter and fabricy, but like
Mhm.
and take some so that I could ostensibly use it to apply to the ankles or wrists or whatever is binding them in the chain things. I don't know that they're in like 4-person things, but I'm assuming they are chained in some way. So this should help them to possibly wriggle out of those if I can't get them open. And then also that we could all use them to escape. So I'm
Okay.
going to
Yeah, no problem.
start by just going into one of the tunnels and not going into the dungeon, but like looking just to see if I can find anyone. If I can see Tiger Eye or Green Owl, and like obviously observing that they're in these 4-person chains, and trying to get an idea of where I would need to come in and out, and also maybe when the guards change.
I will give that for you as your second point of study, right? You spend time preparing, watching, waiting. Where would you? I think having you enter shortly after the fight to see the exhausted Green Owl would make sense, but you also think you have spotted where Tiger Eye is.
Well, I need to get them both,
But
I may not be able to get them both in the same run. Although if one goes missing, then there will be probably some to do.
Who? Yeah, I think you're right. Who is most important? Is it Green Owl or Tiger Eye? And yes, you can definitely have a scene. I'll let Pearl make that choice and come across to you in a second to me.
I think logically it would be Green Owl because Green Owl is my mentor and was the one who entrusted me to do something if anything went wrong and all that. I think I'm probably going to try to save both of them depending on what Tiger Eye is about to do. But let's hear it first.
Tiger Eye, what would you like to do?
Yeah, I think Tiger Eye gets tired of hitting rocks pretty quickly because it's not very interesting. And he says after he's done it for about half an hour, he says, okay, okay, you know what? I'm done with this. This is not interesting and it doesn't get us anywhere. I'm going now. Anybody wants to come with me?
3 says, oh no, I'm happy here. This gives me purpose and they feed me. 1, who was Dancer of Lost, says, if only it was that simple.
Well, maybe just try, because what can they do? They can kill us. So what do we have? But living here in the dark, that's no life. So we have no life, so we can risk it. And I have a pickaxe. I can totally strike these chains.
She says, but I must remain here, or the Emperor will put this city to the sword. I gave him my word when he defeated me in battle.
And what did he promise in return? That city. Don't you think that it is time to defeat the Emperor once and for all? He is draining the land of life. There is open rebellion in 2 provinces already. He's being attacked at all fronts.
She looks down. her eyes, you can note, in fact, we can't see anything actually now, but you can just hear her voice, and she says, if I escape, he will take the lives of my friends, the other masters. If I escape, he will.
What? What? The other masters, all the masters are dead.
There's silence, and she says,
There's only the false master on the throne who calls himself the Emperor.
I am Dancer of Loss, former master of the Eastern Wind.
Then you should rise up and defend your land. You should not stay down here hiding in a dungeon. You are entrusted with a position to protect the people.
If I but the others, they are safe if they defend their lands.
What others? Tourbillon Stone is dead. Greenmaster Jiang is dead. The Emperor killed them.
What? How? He promised me.
Well, he didn't keep his promise. I saw the place where Tourbillon Stone fell. The mountain was riven and cracked, but still he fell. It was a ghost when he spoke to me.
Then I am a fool. I have stayed here and dug these stones, and every time he rolls me up and asks, will I love him? And I say no.
Wow.
He takes me back here. He promised me that they are well and the land is safe.
The land is not safe. They are not well. And that is not a way to gain anyone's love.
She glitters slightly, as is the chi wisps around her, and anger is there. You can see her hands are battered and broken, but she still has been punching at the stones. Her eyes are sightless. She says, he described the world to me. He has lied, and with a flex of her fists, she shatters the manacles and then flips down and cuts Tiger Eye free.
I take it that we're leaving then.
Yes.
Very well. Lead the way, Master, and I bow to her.
And I think we'll draw that episode to a close there, with everyone in place. Master freed, PC dying, and 3 of you in the dungeons. Okay, before we do that, actually, I will have one more little thing, which I will give Leandro the ability here just to roll a new technique. Okay. You've seen her fight about 3 or 4 times now, so you should be able to roll with like at least a +3 bonus.
Oh, +3. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna roll this. Hopefully it goes incredibly well. Wow, the one time I get boxcars. It's after I get poisoned.
But that's like a 15, okay? So it's cool. You as you stand there and look at the feel the blood trickling down your cheek, what has Sable Serpent realized that he can use to finally defeat Moonlit? No, sorry, the wrong one. Sorry. Right.
Moonlit Raven.
Moonlit Raven, yes. Moonlit Raven and Swan Heart. All the bad guys are called Moon something.
Well, I think part of her being what she kind of realized, I think there's a moment where, like, you know, the fear and the desperation and the the awfulness of the situation hits her. But I think her immediate thought, maybe like a month ago, she would just like probably just kept it all to herself. But she does have one thing that Moonlit Raven doesn't have, which is she's not alone. She has friends, she has support. So I think we're gonna try to montage this, but I think what she does is she's gonna go to find her friends. Unfortunately, most of her friends are in the dungeon, so she has to go to the closest thing she has to a friend that isn't caught up in the dungeon at the moment, and it's an ex.
There's
So she
that.
goes-
There's also Way.
Oh, she's not really friends with Wei. I think Wei made some comments about her in the previous session.
Okay, we will close down there then, folks, and let's do some stars and wishes to conclude today's session. So I'm going to go by reverse screen order this time, because otherwise people always say they want to do stars and they have to give the same one. So I'm going to go to Leandro to begin with. Any stars? Any wishes?
Actually, should we do entanglements first?
Stars. Yeah. Oh, tanglements. Oh, yeah. XP, because I will always forget to do that, and Sabine has to tell me off every time. I don't know why I've got that blank spot in my head for this, but let's do entanglements. Did you hit your entanglements? We'll go in reverse character keeper order. So Pearl for affected Starfall.
I did. I studied the prophecy, which may or may not bring us together in any way, shape, or form, but does have to do with that situation.
Yeah, it definitely did. I think there's more about why you can't be together is a part of that, if you were to be a master anyway. My friend Angel Sin, that didn't come up this time, but we'll make sure that can next time. Tiger Eye.
Yeah, I have marked in the entanglement language. I have a duty to the rebellion, but I have such strong feelings for Sable Serpent. I don't know. I think it came up on the inside, maybe. Like it was the whole thing. Like, okay, I'm doing this now, but I want to all I really want to do is get back to Sable Serpent.
I think your internal monologue was there, and this idea that it must end one way or another. So I'm happy to say you've hit that.
Okay, cool. That's 2 XP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I get an advance. Cool. I didn't hit the other one though.
Okay, Sable Serpent.
I think I hit half the entanglement. I think I hit the one I highlighted, which is I must prove to Green now that I've surpassed what my teacher Moonlit Raven has taught me. Well, I proved her wrong, I guess.
And turned your remarks against her. So I think you definitely hit that. That your strength is your friends, not being alone. I like that. I thought that was a total no. I will not be like you.
Total Kingdom Hearts thing to say. No, my friends are my power. You're alone. Usually it's Woody from Toy Story who says that, not a main character. But there you go. But I didn't hit the other one for sure. Still 2 XP.
Okay. And Green Owl.
Yeah, so I still have not seen Opulent Crane nor Moonsworn Heart, but I promised my friend Tiger Eye that I will aid the troublemaker way. And I'm helping it either way once or not, and I had it highlighted.
You've given him responsibility that can only end well or badly. I have yet to decide what the outcome of that's going to be, but Way carrying 2 of the masters of the weapons of the 4 masters has got to be interesting. Okay, stars and wishes then, folks. So I'm going to go, as I say, I'm going to start with Leandro.
Yeah, I think because I just realized I do have to go cook lunch in like 7
Sure.
minutes. I think my main star is the stars everyone's just like jumping in and just getting back in and helping folks to get back in. I always want to shout out that people are so accommodating. I think my big star is to yourself, Dave, for stringing this all together. This city is horrible in the best, worst ways, and highlighting not just like threading what people kind of like suggested or what they commented, but like adding your own spin to things, like, and also like little stuff like, you know, I suggested the whole whispering thing, but you pull off the whispering horrible emperor really well, and little stuff like, yeah, the dancer of loss and all the great NPCs. Just like it's a great like world and setting to be stuck in and have to deal with all this stuff. And obviously this also an anti-star roll for your party for always giving Dave moves to use against me. It's not fair.
I'm so glad you said whisper rather than a Daffy Jack voice. I am. You know,
Imagine. I don't know. Could you? No, I'm not gonna. I'm only gonna speculate if you could have pulled off a Daffy Duck voice and made it.
You lost your chance for retribution. Sorry, Andrew. Now I'll just whisper. Pearl, can I have any stars from you, please? You're muted, Pearl. Sorry.
Yeah. So stars to everyone. Everything Andrew said. Certainly, this is a very like riveting environment we're all in. And to everyone, I feel like it's taken me a while to get caught up again. But now that I'm very invested. I feel like I'm watching a movie that like I really need to know what happens. Only sometimes I'm in the movie and confused. But it's been just really enjoyable, even following along. Everyone is making things interesting and engrossing, and just lots of really good things are happening with everyone. So thank you all. It's not very specific, I know, but it is heartfelt. So that counts for anything.
Good. Sabine, stars?
Okay, stars, yes, stars for everyone. This was such a lovely episode, and I hope we will connect characters together soon, maybe, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love seeing Green Owl do things, and the poor Sable Servant is poisoned now. Oh my god, this is going to be worth some drama, I guess. And I really want to see Perfect Starfall wiggle herself into the 100,000 years dungeon and arrive in the middle of a fight with a dragon. Yay! And David, that was amazing work building and work to pull everything together that we threw at you. That's wow. I am quite envious of your skills in a good way, in a nice way.
That's my favorite part. That's why I like GMing. Cool. Ludo.
Yeah, a big star for putting us together and really advancing for the final lap. It was really satisfying to see how every single tiny arc that everyone had is all coalescing into this moment. And really great job making this awful, horrible city full of awful things happening, and all this awfulness is awesome. So yeah, and a big star for everyone that took part in creating the 100-year dungeons, because we kind of wanted to see that, and we're gonna have pretty much our final arc be around that, which is great. And finally, a big star for the Leander, because Sable Serpent is finally getting that show off that she was denied at the end of the first scene. First arc, I mean. Let's see if this time she actually gets to deliver it.
So for me, I loved the scene, a couple of scenes, especially Green Owl and Perfected Starfall, and their conversation at the beginning. I thought was awesome and well described. I adored the description of the duel from Sable Serpent and the interaction with Huo, who we haven't seen for a couple of months. And as always, Tiger Eye, and I said the conversation with the folks in the Chain Gang stuck out for me as awesome. I'm going to go reverse order back for any wishes. Ludo, do you have any wishes for next time?
I want to fight a dragon.
Fight a dragon. I think I could do that for you. I might even let it eat you. Sabine, any wishes?
Yeah, I want for the dragon to eat. No, I don't want for the dragon to eat Green Owl. I want for us to confront the dragon and come together, all of us, at least all of us, all of those who are now in the 100,000 year dungeon for an epic battle against the dragon, and then we need to figure out how to take down the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. Pearl, any wishes?
Oh man, I have so many wishes. I'm trying to distill them. I'm so bummed that the last one of these is during that conference, and I had I want to do so many things, but I guess my wish, my two biggest wishes are, one, that I had asked slightly different questions on the study thing now that I understand more about what's going on, and two, yes, it's also during Gauntlet Con, so I missed all of Gauntlet Con as well. It's a great timing weekend. I have really specific things I'd like to try to do, and I don't know if it's possible to do them in one session, and I'm now full of all of the game excitement and don't know what to do with it. So my wish is that I had somewhere to throw all of that.
If you want to re-ask your questions, because I suddenly realized we just dumped a number of plot threads on you which you may not have been aware of, do feel free to ask again. Okay, just check a message into the chat window with everyone on Slack, and I will re-answer for you. Hitting everyone with whoa, mythology drop, which makes a lot of sense, hopefully, but it is like 10 sessions worth of aha, this is why it all happened.
I was really unprepared.
Don't worry. No, it's not. That's not. That was. That's because I say it's a quarterly. The weight of the world almost is there. Right. Okay. Leandro, any wishes?
Just want to confirm. We only have 2 sessions after this.
We do. I'm away next weekend. I'm going to Copenhagen.
Ooh, hope you have fun. Yeah, I was just worried that I'd missed the RSVPing to a session of some sort. And the last session is during Gauntlet Con. Oh, that's gonna be that's gonna be an experience in the middle of all that. Oh boy. I think my main wish is everyone wants to fight the dragon. I don't know if it's possible to have a sad, heartfelt conversation with the dragon, but I do want, at least if we're not gonna see Pearl again for the last session, my main wish is to have one last scene with Perfected Starfall. For sure. Just to say, I took your advice. I'm dying now. So that's happening. That sort of thing. Oh, man.
I won't let you die.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. Perfected Starfall likes to save people.
Okay. But yeah, that's kind of my main one. Everything else is interact with other PCs, because I didn't get to today. But yeah, that's my main one. Just one last scene with Perfected Starfall.
Okay, my wish is actually now is the final battle between Minute Raven and Sable Serpent, because now we know that Sable Serpent is ready, and this is probably going to be a changing moment for that character who's grown immensely over the story. Thank you, folks, as always. I'll stop the broadcast there. Allegedly, anyway.